Let me try to pull these notes I have up because I forgot the entire show just completely fell out of my head.
Oh, 13 Reasons Why. How much of it have you seen?
I saw the whole thing the first day.
Wow. So you've seen the entirety of season 4.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I saw the entirety of season 4 in one day. I definitely did.
That'd be something.
Well, you know what I
watched 1 through 4 in one day.
It seems I'm not sure that works out in hours in a day.
It's a tricky one.
I think you run out.
Yeah.
I did though watch your guys'. I don't know if I didn't get a chance to tell Gael this. I watched the entire 12-hour breakdown that you guys did all in one day for season 3.
What a fucking champ!
All in one sitting.
I'm glad we didn't do it all in one sitting because I think our brains would have melted.
Well, the
it was a damn nightmare.
We did 3 episodes. Like Adam ended up on the ground.
Yeah, no, he was.
No, I can believe it.
He was like a dog trapped in a car.
Yeah,
that's the look on his face. He was just like
worried about his safety by the 3rd one.
And I can't care, Adam. Like Scoot wasn't here, right? We're doing all this like remotely now, so I can't save Adam if things fall apart. But yeah, no.
Yeah, did you guys get a chance to do what's that game you guys were playing? It was Middle East or Middle Earth. You guys get a chance to go for round 2 on that?
No, because we haven't gotten so bored with season 4 that we've decided to play weird games.
That's hilarious because I actually thought this was substantially more boring than season 3.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, I was dying, especially where you guys are.
Very early for a controversial opinion, but let's hear it.
How could you say something so controversial and yet so brave?
So brave, dude. I was on like episode 3 and I was like, am I not gonna finish this? Like nothing happens. Like nothing happens.
I think you're watching it wrong.
I must have been, man. I was watching it sober. That's for sure. Let me see if I can get recap stuff of episodes because I literally that's what I'm saying. It's so boring. I can't even remember. Now here's what's funny is that from now on, the second half, I do think it really goes off the rails and you're going to see some really fun stuff. But
yeah,
the second half is much more interesting to me than the first half.
Wow, we're in for a ride.
You're in for a ride. So
it
tell
really
me,
goes off the rails in the second half.
I think it does, and so I definitely want to hear your opinions now. Yeah, so we have a couple new characters instead of Ani now. Not instead. We still have it, but we ended up Amadawat. Yeah, good job. Good fucking job. We have Diego. What's his name?
Diego.
We have Charlie Diego. Brixton St. George.
Oh, you remembered it. I'm so proud of you.
That's amazing. Is that the new super villain guy or who's that?
No, that would be Winston Williams, as you're thinking.
Winston. Yes, Winston. Right? Is Charlie the turncoat jock?
He's the turncoat jock. Yes.
So, dude, when I did my little breakdown, one of my big takeaways, if you look through my notes, I have in every episode he's in, I'm like, when the fuck did this guy become a main character?
In the second half of the last episode. Not even. Of season.
Yeah, exactly. The second half of the last episode.
Yeah, not the second half of the season. The second half of the last episode. The second half of the season.
Yeah, no, there was a throwaway shot. There was a throwaway shot of him stuffing a fucking tape in Monty's locker or something, or a scarf or something, just framing Monty.
Oh, okay, yeah, last season.
That was a throwaway shot, and then there's establishing shots where you walk into a room and the camera's there and he's sitting with the big boys. It's like in the cafeteria when the popular kids get a new recruit. It's
all of that made it in my video. That's so funny. That's the shot I use when I was complaining about how all of our heroes are basically the villains and deserve to be in prison for helping in abating a murder. And all of our villains are basically good guys who want an innocent man's name cleared because the real villains all died. They fucking killed them.
And also the real villains who died were also glorified as heroes last season also.
And it's kind of continuing on to some extent as well in this.
Yes. Yeah, Diego is our anchor for that. So what happened is basically Winston is for, I guess Diego and Winston are for Monty. But it's a lot like how season 3 tried to rewrite Bryce to be well, wait a second, there's all the stuff you didn't see. He's a really great, swell guy. And now this season, they're doing the exact same thing for Monty.
Yeah, it's the tone of that. The tone of going oh, he's a really swell guy. That kind of, it speaks of a writer who felt like he was really misinterpreted in the first and second season. Oh man, I can't believe they would watch that and think that Bryce is a monster.
It speaks of a writer who has probably committed rape himself.
Well, it's that's the thing. It's not that I'm necessarily mad about the concepts, it's that the execution is just done so poorly that it's such amateurish writing for a person to go and be like, hey, I'm going to show you only one angle of one character for an entire season. I'm going to make them as wooden and cardboard as I possibly can. And then the next season be like, oh, hey, but here's all the stuff you missed. Now you feel like an asshole. No, I don't feel like an asshole because you never gave me anything to work with other than the guy is like the spawn of Satan himself.
Yeah, I love now you feel like an asshole writing.
It wasn't like Arthur Conan Doyle. He wasn't like planting clues in the first and second season where it's like, look at all these things you missed. It's like, what?
And that's what I think they should have done. Scoot and I talked about that before, how just with Bryce, but now I feel the same way with Monty, where there's a very interesting and mature and nuanced conversation to have about, hey, this guy did this really bad thing, but here's the whole breadth of his life. And now when we look at all those things, and maybe he's, I even brought up in my video how like it would have been interesting to have Monty maybe be, or not Monty, but have Bryce be like repentant from the beginning, and then it's because of Monty and because of his parents and stuff that they won't let him like confess to what he did because it would make everyone look bad, and bring everyone down. But they don't do any of that. He's just an awful like they're rapist and they're evil and they're proud of it. They're constantly like rubbing it in people's faces.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yes, mustache twirling. Yes, exactly. So then it's like, hey, remember, Dr. Robotnik? Well, actually, here's all these scenes you didn't see of him with his mom painting a room. Like it's too late, motherfucker. It's too late.
I like how your go-to for like a Hitler analogy is
Dr. Robotnik.
I was trying to remember Claw or Dr. Claw or whatever his name is from Inspector Gadget. I'm not sure that's less obscure. Exactly, right. And then you find out the whole time that actually, like, no, he, well, at least you see him with a cat.
Yeah, which makes him worse, obviously.
Yeah.
But at least he can get a cat to like him, But yeah, it's yeah. So okay, so if you guys can give me a little rundown of what kind of happens the first half, because like I said, I saw it all at once, so it's hard to remember like what comes when.
So we just did 3, 4, and 5. So those are fresh, and then we did 1 and 2 last week, right?
Yeah.
Which are not as fresh, even though it still wasn't that long ago. So
1 is very introductory. It's basically just that's the only one I made the video on for this season. So that's just hey, we're back at school. Somebody wrote Monty is innocent or something in spray paint on the wall.
Which I misread the first time it showed up on screen. I was like, because it was like Monty something, so, and I was like, I'm on TV? What?
I wish that was it. That would make more sense.
The cool thing about the show so far, what we both liked about it is how fast paced it seems to be. Like it seems that every episode it's something different. And it's like they don't hang around anywhere. Like in season 2, it was just mostly a courthouse a courthouse scene. And like,
you know what? That's a great point.
So season 4, we've had like an episode.
Season 3 with that fucking framing device of the just like every single episode is
who killed Bryce.
We focus on one character who clearly did not kill Bryce because it's not the finale and you don't know until the finale, and they're not going to focus on the one who did kill Bryce until the finale. So the whole thing was a waste of time. This does not have that framing device, so it moves a lot better because of that.
I'm actually really glad. Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up because that is a really great point. That is, I think, why this one feels like it moves so much more, because yes, that was the exact problem with season 3 is that every episode until basically the first and the last one feel like there's a point, and everything in the middle is process of elimination. Was it this guy? Well, no, it wasn't, and it's not, and we know it's not, so we're just gonna spend a whole bunch of time basically developing everyone else's alibis. And then they kept getting closer, and you got to the one where it's Zach, where it's like, oh, we're gonna find out Zach killed him, because Zach went, in essence, like, here's what's funny too: if someone else didn't step in after Zach and actually murder him, Zach would have murdered him.
Yeah, I love that. Was my favorite throwaway. Like he just gets away with it because the cops like, what you did was assault and battery. You're free to go. It's like I didn't realize assault and battery were legal. What was I doing all this time?
Oh, I forgot it was the purge.
I'm gonna be out there whooping some wholesale ass now. Now that I know. No, well, and that's what I mean is that, like, at the end of it, you're like, we have Jessica who witnessed a murder, didn't say anything. We got a kid who did murder someone. We got a kid who basically murdered someone, who, like, tried his best to murder someone, to the point where he was convinced he did murder him and tried to confess for it. So it's like, and these are our main characters. These are our protagonists. And then we have Clay, who's like...
fetish is covering up crimes.
Oh, my goodness. I even brought up in my video, I was like, he should have had it where, like, they should have done something really dark where he got like diddled as a kid or something like that. So he has major trust issues with like adult authority figures. But it comes from nowhere. He's got like the nicest parents in the world.
Oh yeah,
he's just a psychopath for no reason.
It's
well, in this season, has he gotten like super into talking to himself and stuff yet?
Season 4. Yeah. He hallucinates every episode.
Every episode, he gets to the point where he literally is like, sounds like a really poorly written crazy person who just like mutters and talks to himself and stuff. Like it gets really bad. Where I was like, ooh, maybe I'm getting my wish. Like I want a full blown psychotic break. I want this guy to be like schizophrenic.
Muttery yet, I wouldn't say, but like plenty of hallucinations. So he's on the way.
Okay.
And he tried weed for the first time too.
Oh yeah. And sex for the first time.
And sex for the first time.
Okay, hey, can we talk about that?
Satisfied that woman.
I swear to God that he had sex. What was that whole sex scene with Hannah? Were they just taking their clothes off and making out?
Yeah, makeouts. You know how it goes.
Right. She has a clip that I used in one of my videos where she's talking, because there was a part where she's like, because I was explaining how like I don't appreciate how they frame suicide to make it seem like a great way to like get back at people.
Even
and
though
Adam
it
said
is.
that same shit.
Anyone listening, if you want to. You want to get back at all those people that were mean to you. I can't think of a better way.
We'll check the metrics on suicide rates after this video comes out. But it's like we had what's his face, Clay and her have this what I thought was a sex scene, and that's when she explains in her tape, or she's like, and you'll never forget this after you hear this tape or whatever. So it's like she's obviously taunting, like, yeah, fuck you, I'm gonna kill myself because you're a dick, And so it's funny because I guess now they're saying that no, they didn't actually have sex or whatever. So it's like, okay, he lost his virginity. Which also, man, that character, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but that shit goes nowhere.
Yeah, I believe you. Because it also comes out of nowhere, right? Like if they had set it up in the if in the first season, episode 5, like Clay had an arc or something where it's like, oh fuck, I can't have sex. I have like erectile dysfunction or something, or like I've never had, I just want to have sex, and they just set that up in like episode 2 or 3. The writers would have not had the restraint in season 1 to have him stay a virgin till the end of season 1, right?
That's a great way to put it. They have no
comes out of nowhere in one episode in season 4 and is resolved out of nowhere, and then it pretends to be an arc. It goes like, oh, I've had sex, I've done it. It's like, what the fuck kind of writing is this?
It's totally like a 15-year-old wrote it. Like it literally feels like the cast are like coming up with the stuff, like they're ad-libbing it. But having said that, I don't even just mean the sex part. I mean the girl. She happens to be the daughter of the main cop who actually is looking for him.
Right.
Diaz, right? And which again, by the way, Diaz is like a good guy. Like Diaz sniffs out that there's some fuckery afoot, and he's trying to do his job and find out who murdered somebody. And again, they paint him like a villain.
I keep wanting to call the actor Benito Mussolini. It's Benito Martinez. They have the same first name. It's Benito M, and it really throws me off.
There's not a lot of Benitos out there. Yeah, and he's, I've seen him in some stuff, and he's fine.
From The Shield, baby.
That's what he is. Okay, I was like, man, why do I know this guy? It's always sad every time. Well, dude, can we talk about fucking Gary Sinise? I like wept inside when I was like, oh no, not you,
Lieutenant Dan.
You. Lieutenant Dan. Is money that hard right now?
Hey man.
And then every time he acts opposite
CSI
of
New
fucking
York
No
has
Face,
been long off the air, so
it really has. It's so sad though, because like him acting across, because the guy who plays Clay Jensen is such a terrible actor anyway, but it's made Dylan McDermott or whatever.
McDermott. I love it.
Yeah.
But his stupid it really sticks.
Dermot Mulrooney. I always confuse them.
Dermot Mulrooney is funny. But they what do you call it? It's just that he's such a bad actor in a vacuum or surrounded by other people who are bad, and then it's made so much worse when you do put him next to someone who can actually act.
Like,
oh no.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah. It's like acting class or something. It's like, oh, so rough. And it's funny because I never thought about the kid, but like Prisoners is one of my favorite movies, and I was like, man, he sucks in that too. Like I didn't realize that.
It's a good thing he doesn't have a larger role in Prisoners, or else he could have really fucked it up.
I wonder if he did, and then they're just like, hey man, we can't do anything.
Hey, we gotta edit out most of this dumbass son.
At least in the writing, But yeah, so give me a little bit more. So yeah, they go on that camping trip. You guys definitely saw that. That was like episode 3 or something, right?
Yes.
And that was like a weird Freddy Jason kind of Crystal Lake thing. it was kind of high concept for the show. That's fair.
Almost unironically loved it. Like it's like to me, like loving something, it gets, first of all, it starts ironically because I mean I'm jaded and cynical. I don't love anything anymore. But it starts off ironically. But then when something is bad enough, it becomes sincere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's why I love the Underworld series or trilogy or quadrilogy or whatever.
Sure.
It's like loves the Underworld. Like I can't.
It's like
stressed to you.
Like that's like it's terrible, obviously, but I love it sincerely because of what it is really trying hard to be. And some episodes so far that we've seen are very much like that. And the camping in the woods episode is exactly a good example. Like it starts off with this really grave and important question. Will they be invited to the senior camp?
Senior camping trip.
God, I need to know. And thank God they resolved that so
that's
quickly.
not the last time that happens.
Oh,
man.
I believe
There's
you.
another thing. They treat it like it's like World War II is going to start, and it is over the dumbest stuff in the show. It consists. It happens at least one more really big one that you're like, how the fuck? And the show almost puts a hat on it. Like they basically say like. One of the other characters basically goes like, "That's dumb. No one's gonna care about that." And they're like, "No, just trust me." And then sure enough, like the show knew how
silencing
dumb it was.
the critics before they had a chance.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, God, I can't wait till you guys see the second half. The second half is so fucking nuts.
I'm so
Because
you guys haven't gotten
through episodes like 3 and 4. We were theorizing that like each episode was going to be like a horror movie homage bottle episode.
Yeah.
How much better would that have been?
Because episode
that would have
3
been amazing
with the dance or whatever was basically Saw, like because the jocks were being Jigsaw.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you're totally right. Yeah. Okay, that took me a second.
And then the next one was like, you know, your cabin in the woods standard, like your Evil Dead type.
Can we like fucking claps for these jocks, like the level of organization that they put together?
They had their
I couldn't get high schools to do anything. This guy's got them all like keeping a secret between like 30 of them, and they're all like
the essay.
Oh my goodness, good for it. Those guys really should have been in drama class. I don't know if they're in the wrong field.
Made me root for the jocks more than.
Well, and again, like you can't. Oh, I think we're losing. Oh, there you are. But it's like again, you can't. What do you call it? Diego, like.
I love Diego.
He's douchey, but that's the problem though. Is that he like
love his eyebrows?
Like,
oh, I can't get over his eyebrows. He's got like flat top eyebrows. It's so weird.
Oh yeah. Oh, and then they bring in Monty's sister for
Alyssa,
very little.
I want to say Elantra. No, that's a Honda.
No.
I think it's Alyssa Milano.
No, it's really crazy. She has like a really like movie kind of name. I forgot. I don't know. I have it all in my notes, but it doesn't matter. She's Estella.
Carmen Electra.
Yeah, it's not a regular name. But you know, okay, but real quick though, back to, you know, when I was talking about the Diaz's daughter, it's like that is a long-term conflict over a whole season where it could have been like, oh, I found this girl, I'm really into her. It took me a couple episodes after we started dating, and oh no, your dad's the guy who wants to put me in prison, and now like I can't be open with you because I'm afraid, you know, that you'll maybe tell your dad about stuff that I can't be, you know, so there's like this weird wedge between us. This is like a 15-year-old could have thought of that, and instead they just made it a throwaway thing. He has sex with her one time. You know, and then like and then he creeps her out because he's over there trying to fight people, which again, the fact that this kid is not in jail for all the shit that he pulls, putting guns on people, fighting people all the time. Like in my school, if you got in a fight, you would go to jail, like zero tolerance policy stuff. And he goes and fights Diego in the first episode. Like they both would have been in jail if they went to my high school.
Yeah, it's definitely out there. It's definitely out there.
It's Okay, so what was the last episode you saw? What's episode 5?
So 5 was what? What did we finish on?
It ended with the car ride in the Audi.
Oh yeah, so they should be dead. They should be straight up dead.
Okay.
That car went off.
Oh, so you just saw that sex scene then?
So fast.
Yeah,
and like
it really did.
I'm like, oh, interesting. They killed 2 main characters.
I have to say, if they killed Zach, I will be very upset. Zach is my favorite character.
Can't kill him.
So hey, how about Zalix though, huh?
Zalix.
Oh,
yeah. Dude, that's a celebrity couple of Zach.
That was episode 2.
Yeah.
That was episode. I lost my mind.
We like the trope of Alex getting himself into danger, getting saved by Zach, and then kissing because he's done it twice.
We called that as they got in the boat. We were like, he's gonna fall off and Zach's gonna save him, and they're gonna make out.
And then sure enough, he let's see. So you're at 5, yeah. So he definitely has like he's had and lost the relationship with Monty, right?
Winston.
I mean Winston, yeah.
Winston, yeah. Yeah, so
right, because at summer camp or whatever is when they broke up.
Clay or Tyler told him that Winston's like gathering intel and he's doesn't really love you type thing. And we don't really like it's weird because Winston's like so far the most complex character we've been given this entire show. Mm-hmm. He's a character who maybe has feelings for another character, but is also trying to avenge and exonerate his ex-lover and he like takes punishment as a fetish. It's a weird character. It's an unusual character.
But he's portrayed as a straight up anime villain.
Oh yeah, no.
That's the big problem. I kept comparing him to Dr. Evil.
I would have auditioned for that character.
That was the role you were meant to play.
Very much.
Yeah. Well, like you said, he's one of the only ones that is like I don't even want to use the word mature, but like you said, he's complex. There's like a couple of like, and because you get characters like Amarawat who they insist that she's complex, but they give you nothing. And he actually has like, there are some kind of interesting things. Again, development is like the biggest thing they're so bad at. They throw everything at a first pass. The first draft of everything is what ends up making it through. And he needed so much more reason to be into Monty. And it's like, hey, remember that guy whose dick I sucked once and they beat the fucking shit out of me?
In the goddamn face.
Oh yeah. Well, and then we talked about
which, by the way, must have been even worse.
Yeah.
Like the only thing worse than getting punched by somebody is having that happen to you in front of like 50 of your friends.
Yeah.
And then people are like, hey, what was that about? What are you gonna say? Oh, I sucked his dick a minute ago.
Yeah. Now he's being a real bitch about it.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like, unless they want to try to sell that, like, there was just a bunch of scenes that we missed off camera, but there just isn't enough time. So the whole thing happens like in such a short amount of time that, if they had this big long-standing relationship or something and he was like changing or whatever, but no, like he died an asshole and he
lived long enough to see himself become an asshole.
That's exactly what it is. Did you guys get to the has the fire alarm episode happened yet?
No spoilers though.
Okay, no spoilers. That's what I'm trying to okay. Because it's just the point being is that like you've already seen that Clay keeps hallucinating everyone, and his hallucination versions of people are substantially more likable than what they were like in the show. So that's a really frustrating thing too. It's just like, right? It's just the rewriting. It's just it's this constant like, oh, see, I'm really not that bad of a guy and blah blah blah, and it's just like, God, damn it, what are you trying to sell to me? Like,
it's actually the writers trying to communicate that it's Clay coming to grips with his guilt, and it's his guilt that's manifesting these illusions of the characters that are clearly different than their former selves. It's kind of like an Ubermensch type situation. He's projecting himself onto the guilt that is manifested within him. It
sucks. Because if the show was better, that kind of stuff could happen and be more interesting. The show, that's why I said in one of my videos, I was like, dude, the show is trying to tackle themes a lot of people avoid because the amount of care it requires to actually do it well is so intense. And then these guys were the ones who were like, hold my beer, bro. Like, I'll handle it in 10 seconds. Oh, yeah. And so it's funny because it's just like so many times the messages they send are almost exactly opposite of what I assume they're trying to send. Because even just the Winston situation is like,
almost
it's teaching little girls.
Single time.
It's just teaching little girls and little boys that like, oh yeah, if someone beats the hell out of you and then a week later says, hey, sorry, then like, no, it's cool, start a relationship with them. That's good.
What's the moral?
Yeah, madness, total madness. And then of course every time anyone is bad, if they die, they're instantly is full lore redemption. And then there's going to be 2 or 3 people who show up who say, hey, by the way, here's all the stuff you didn't see. This person's actually an angel and they used to go and feed the homeless with me every weekend.
So it's interesting that you mentioned this because like the 2 people who this has happened to so far have been Bryce and Monty, who are both like unambiguously terrible people in life. And like the writers didn't give us anything, like literally just nothing to latch onto them before they died, right? The only exception to this is Tyler, who's the school shooter character, who was given a little more like, I want to say depth, which is not the wrong word because there's really very little depth to the character. But it's like that's the character who, if he had pulled off the school shooting, we would have gotten all of his backstory afterwards, that he was raped by Monty and shit, right?
Yes.
So we get that beforehand, and then it doesn't go anywhere. and the character's kind of waffling, and he's kind of okay except for the occasional him getting triggered and walking out of the scene. So it's like
Yes.
So it's so muddy. It's such a
well, and most of him getting triggered
writing.
is around trust issues. They kind of made his mirror character Tony, which is really strange because those characters have so little to do with each other, like if you actually think structurally. But they've made it now where that's where the conflict happens with Tyler from now on. It's just constantly Tony being like, wait a second, I think he's going to shoot everyone. Wait a second, I think he's going to shoot everyone. And it's like, Tony, like, you should barely know this guy's name. Like, you had so little to do with him. But they have to free up Clay.
Also, don't you have an auto repair shop you should be working on?
Oh, no shit, right.
Yeah,
you 32-year-old man.
A 40-year-old mechanic and a 17-year-old
Aren't you
at the same time somehow?
100%. Well, so yeah, Tyler drives me fucking crazy, and I have a big section about him too, where I was talking about how it's almost less to do with the Tyler character, and he is an opportunity for Clay to be unbelievably irresponsible. And what Clay did should have gotten him fucking murdered. And now, if anyone else were to get murdered from him, it would 100% be blood on Clay's hands, because Clay is not a goddamn psychiatrist, and he's seeing a psychiatrist. He knows this. He should have sent him to a fucking psychiatrist. He should have sent him, told his parents, because, well, it's just, Adam said it. He was like, how do we know he's not just going to recollect and then just go back for round 2?
With headphones on, where he can't hear you.
Yeah, exactly.
Playing his favorite music.
This time I came
playing, blasting Bulls on Parade, He, right, so what happens is,
you know what? That's a pretty good school shooting song. I would say
it's not bad. I would maybe. Well, it's frustrating too because again, I think you guys made this joke, and it's the perfect analogy. He's like an NPC who's run out of quest line stuff, so he just like hangs out in the photo room and in the rest of season 3, and you just like wait for him. And every time you walk, it's like a Dark Souls. Every time you walk in there, it's like, oh hey, what's happening? Oh, you've run out of dialogue options. I just say the same couple of things.
I love that Tyler. The Jigsaw episode. I love that Tyler went to the.
Go ahead and give me that again real fast. I lost you for a second.
I love that Tyler in I think episode 3 in the Jigsaw episode went to the school dance and got triggered. I'm like, yeah, maybe skip one dance.
Oh, no joke.
After the last one, went to murder everybody. Skip
totally
one.
Right. Yeah.
To reverse suicide everybody.
Yeah, no. I love a good reverse suicide. Exactly.
He was gonna go Hannah Baker everybody. You got Hannah Baker. Yeah, it's I don't know. I think the problem is that they had these concepts that are like, hey, what's another big thing that we can talk about that like potentially happens at schools or whatever? Okay, let's do school shooter. But then they didn't know what to do with the character when they didn't have him go to jail or die. So then they're just like, fuck. And this is a lot of characters. How many characters in season 4 feel like hangarounds from season 1?
Yeah.
And how many did they just drop? Remember how many characters were like big deals in season 1 and you haven't seen them, period?
We don't.
The rest of Scott's sentence is because we haven't seen season 1.
Oh, okay.
We went straight from season 2 to 3 to 4. Yeah. We don't need the context. We're happy.
Well, you know what?
We actually aren't missing anything. Like we have literally, there's nothing that we don't understand. Yeah. It all makes perfect sense, completely devoid of season 1, other than we know that Hannah killed herself, but it's all explained so many times, we don't need to watch it.
Well, and I will let you know that I have only seen season 3 and 4.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so very similar boat. And what do you call it? It's but mostly just research, going back and trying to be like, okay, is there like stuff I'm missing from this and that and the other thing? And like that Asian girl who was in season 3 for like a little bit or whatever. It was like
I think that was just Zach Dempsey.
I don't know. You just described everybody.
Pretty sure there's only one Asian character.
Yeah, no, a lot of threads that they dropped. Remember the abortion episode where that just happened?
Yeah.
And now we don't see that character's gone forever.
Oh, that's done.
You should have seen her pop up for like a second. Her and Zach talk for like a second.
Chloe? Oh yeah, but they don't talk about the abortion. They just like
no, that's over. No, she's good.
They have sex or something. They make out.
She fixed her life.
Good.
They fucking get in his car. They fuck in his car. Right?
Is that what happened? Did they have sex? I didn't remember them actually having sex.
And it was the scene where Clay had his email hacked, and someone had sent an email to everybody, and Zach was ignoring his phone, and he threw his phone in the bushes,
I don't think that was Chloe.
Who was he fucking?
No, that was some rando.
He was
because they're trying
rando?
Yeah, let's talk about Zach real quick. Because that's Zach is funny because he was, but that's new. Zach was like the straight edge, super like, hey team, like I'm gonna show you how to be good guys, and just because we're jocks doesn't mean we have to be rapists, and we're gonna be the good guys. And then this one, they're like, oh fuck, we have nothing to do with Zach because we have Diego, and they eat up too much of the same space. So I guess we'll just make Zach a fucking, he's a devil may care, Ferris Bueller type or something.
I love it.
It's so dumb.
I love the new direction Zach's been taken in.
It really is. It's like did you guys ever watch did you ever watch Hail Caesar from the Coen Brothers?
Again, I'm cutting out. I'm gonna say yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, what'd you say?
The only spoiler I had going into season 4 is I saw the title of an article that said how season 4 of 13 Reasons Why failed Zach Dempsey. Is the only thing I knew.
Well, dude, not just Zach, man. Like, wait till it's over. You're gonna be like, oh my god, these fucking characters. But I was gonna say, did you guys ever see Hail Caesar?
I haven't seen it.
It's really good. You should watch it. But there's a bit where one of the characters he does westerns, and it was back during that time when basically all actors were owned by the studio, and they would just tell you like what kind of movies you're going to be in. And so there's a point where he's literally like halfway through shooting a movie, and they come up and they're like, hey, we're taking you out of this picture and putting you in this other one. He's like, oh, why? They're like, we're changing your entire image. So it's literally like the guy who plays Zach must have felt that way, where he like read the script for season 4. He's like, oh, hey guys, sorry, there's a mix up. You wrote my name on someone else.
I think you wrote some other character. No, that's you now.
But it's not me. I've been in the show for 3 seasons. Okay, but no, real quick though. Speaking of 3 seasons, again, you have season 1. You have the Asian girl who had a mildly provocative relationship with Hannah, and she was one of the tape people. That's the thing. There's people who Hannah made tapes about who they completely drop out of the show. Same with the gay guy who was doing like the news. I know. Well, dude, by the end of this season, 60% of our main characters are gay. Like, it is insane how many people switch
season over. 2 as a joke.
Yeah,
dude, and you've been right, which is so funny.
We've been like our head canon was just that like everybody was giving head with their cannons.
Gay.
Is there any chance that they were like, this guy just comes across so gay on screen, we just gotta write him gay, like
not to make him gay.
He doesn't sell heterosexual. It just doesn't work.
Do you remember when Alex had sex with that prostitute? That was pretty butch.
Oh yeah, that was actually, man, that was probably one of the cringier scenes too.
Highlights of the season, I'd say.
It's but again, that was also done in service of like, hey guys, Bryce, he's such a good guy. Here's an example of him being such a great guy.
Yeah.
It just feels like the writers had nothing to lose in this last season.
It does feel like that.
And like, they didn't
go for it.
Yeah, and they really did, and I actually appreciate it. Like, I want this season to be more well received than the previous season because I want more media that looks like this. I want writers who don't give a shit, who read fan fiction and be like, "That's good, let's put it in our thing." Who are like, who change characters on a dime, who have absurd plot points, insane bottle episodes inspired by horror movies but executed extremely poorly. Like, it's a masterpiece, dare I say. I'm only halfway through. I'm halfway through, and I'm completely enthralled by it. So enthralled that like we're trying to pace ourselves. We're trying not to watch it all in one go. We're like,
that's the thing.
No, I need to digest it.
We did 2 the first week, and we were gonna do 2 or 3 on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then
we're losing you again, Scott.
And just before we're done. I'm back. Adam's like, I'm good now. Am I good?
Yeah,
Can you hear me? Yeah. Adam's like, good. Do you want to do a 4th and then just do 4 next week and we're done? And we're like, we could, which is not something we could say for season 3 because after 3 episodes in season 3, Adam almost had to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
But we don't want to do 4 in a row for an entirely different reason because it's too good and we don't want to use up all the joy into tight a time frame.
It's hard because well, I got bad news for you. It's by far, I think, the worst received season so far.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
But still, it's like scoring like 6s and stuff, which I didn't know. Like, I don't look at internet like IMDb scores or any of that stuff. I don't have like a Letterboxd. I didn't know that these shows were getting high review. Like, to me, a 6 is pretty good. Like, so like
IMDb is weird. IMDb, like the entire system is like 5 to 8, and that's it. Like five is the worst movie of all time, and 8 is...
Oh man.
The problem is how they do their rating. Their rating is like, if you give something higher than like a 5 or something, I can't remember exactly how it is, but basically as long as you don't give it like a terrible rating, it counts as like a fresh rating. So you'll have a whole bunch of people who are giving it, you know, a 6 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 or whatever, and then they'll just be like, oh yeah, it has like an 80% fresh, because there's all these people who are giving it a technically fresh rating, and it really skews things in a positive figure. So when you see something like Gotti get like a 0%, like that's a pretty special situation. Now here's the problem though. Gotti's for no one is the problem, because like the only people who, like, first off, mob movies haven't done well in a really long time. So the only people who are going to want to watch a mob movie are people who probably think like Goodfellas is the best movie ever made.
Are people in the mob?
That's
well, it's gonna be like it's gonna be Ralph Seppi, right?
Yeah, it's Ralph.
You know, and so like the problem is then it's the same kind of movie that Ralph Seppi's gonna fucking hate. So it's like it's a movie for no one, because they want Ralph to like it, but they made it in a way that would make Ralph hate it. And so the difference is that 13 Reasons Why is made for sappy fucking 12-year-olds, and they love that shit, you know, because like, see, this is what it's like, Mom. You don't get it.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I feel like it's made for me. I would watch another if it came out. I absolutely.
You know, it's halfway made.
I wish there was something as good. The only thing I've seen that I've had a similar reaction to was, because we live in Canada, so we don't have a lot of American shows. But once I was in America and I was on Netflix, and there was the show Wizards was on. I think it was, or The Magicians or something, not Wizards. It was fucking.
Oh yeah, that show is trash. I actually have roommates who watch that show unironically. Hey, what's up, roommates? That show sucks, and you should feel bad.
It's trashy, but in the same way as 13 Reasons Why.
It sounds
to me,
like it, yeah.
Right, and it's like to me they're indistinguishable. To a lot of people, like they're like, oh, they're completely like, one's a fantasy fucking sci-fi shit, and the other one's like high school drama, but to me they're indistinguishable. They're the exact same, and I will
so here's what happened
with the same amount of joy.
I have a theory about this. I think what happened is that CW, I believe, is basically like the next evolution of the WB, if I'm not mistaken.
Those are just letters.
UPN, WB.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm in America. I just assumed you guys were watching all of our show. So here's what happened. You guys know the shows like Dawson's Creek and stuff like that, right?
Heard of it.
There was these okay, so yeah, you guys are a little young too, but there was these really sappy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm young
Gael,
for Dawson's Creek, so.
Shut your fucking mouth, Gael.
Well,
shut your fucking mouth.
Because I use Nivea.
Too young for Dawson's Creek.
Andy McDowell is my spirit animal.
Well, all right, so but like let's talk Beverly Hills 90210. You know, like those kinds of shows, right? Where they were basically about nothing, and it was. No, I know, that's what I'm saying, but it was bigger though, I think. But Dawson's Creek was pretty big, but I didn't watch any of them, so it doesn't matter. But the point being is that these were these really sappy shows about just teenagers having like way dramatic, over the top like reactions to, you know, interpersonal struggles. And what happened, and my theory is that basically maybe even because of something like the MCU being so successful, but producers were like, hey, we can make the exact same show, but fuck it, and just make them superheroes. And now it's just Supergirl, and it's the exact same show. True. But it's just with magicians. So that's the Magicians. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, you know, the new one. It's like, hey, we're going to go like really dark and kind of get more into the culty stuff. But it's also at 80% just going to be about interpersonal drama. There's going to be like trans characters and gay characters getting bashed by jocks, and it's going to be the same shit. And then we're going to make 13 Reasons Why. You know what I'm saying? It's just those shows didn't go away. They just became high concept.
That's such an unusual direction to take things in. Because on the one hand, it's like it's a form of escapism, so you can express your, you know, dissatisfaction and your disenfranchisement. So I can see the appeal in that direction.
Oh yeah.
But on the other direction, it's just absurdism, because it's like it's like you're a wizard and you're getting wedgied. What's going on? Like it's like Gandalf is like getting shoved into a locker. Like what?
Nothing.
Like, I'm supposed to believe this guy's the leader of the Izatari, and he's getting fucking pushed around by fucking Johnny Two Shoes over there.
Well, and that was
it's just absurd, and it's
that was distinctly missing from Harry Potter. Because Harry Potter could have been every bit as dumb.
Oh yeah,
it could have been all kinds of locker room scenes. I mean, like seriously, if we counted the minutes, it's probably 40% of 13 Reasons Why it takes place in front of a locker.
Yeah, and then the other 40% in empty classrooms.
Oh my god, it's like, do these kids ever go to fucking school? Not to mention, like, again,
I think it's summer. I don't think class is even in session.
The kids are all just like hanging around because they're so bored. They just go to school and
they're all just losers who hang out at school during the summer.
Community made that joke where there's like a point when the dean walks in. He's like, "Do you guys ever go to class? Like, does anyone go to class? Nothing ever happens in class."
And then the dean went back to his office and watched Dalmatian porn.
Hell yeah, I did. This better not awaken anything in me. Yeah, it's okay, here's another one. All right, so this is going to be a bit of a nitpick and kind of mean and punching down.
I'm ready.
But
go off.
I wonder how much of a woke choice it was to not cast highly attractive people to play the highly attractive characters, because everyone is so fucking horny for Jessica, and I don't get it. Everyone
Jessica's not great, and like Uberjock Bryce was fat, and like
yeah, right. That's what I was saying. He's super schlubby, and I was like, this kind of character would have been cast by like Freddie Prinze Jr. or like Paul Walker. And he was. I mean, like, that was, Varsity Blues, right? So it's like those characters have always been cast by people who were like 10s. And then they get this guy, and I was like, and that's what another opportunity that they had was, I was like, they could have made him where, because he's like that, girls are not as into him as they are with the other jocks. And so maybe that's why he's a rapist, is because he wants to keep up with the other jocks who are having sex all the time.
At all.
No. Yeah. Everyone thought he was beautiful,
and now they have fake Bryce who looks exactly the same as him and is also portrayed as super hot.
Who's fake Bryce?
Luke Holiday.
Luke?
Man,
who the fuck is Luke Holiday?
The names.
Dude,
he's lying. He's on Wikipedia.
I don't remember anyone's names in real life ever. But I know Gandalf has 3 or 4 names. It's Gandalf, the regular, and then you've got Mithrandir if you're an elvish Aloran from his Atari name. Like it's. But I don't remember. Like I swear to God,
I don't remember Steve, who I've met.
No, I swear to God, this is 100% true. I was on a train. I was on a subway. It's like back in October. And a woman came up to me, and she's kind of this young, 20-something-year-old woman. She's like really pretty. She has a huge smile. She's like, "Oh my God, Gael, it's been so long." And then she's like, "How's everybody?" And she like knows my brother and sister by name. She's like, she knows she's used to live with my brother or something. I'm like, "Hey, yeah, no, that's great." And then we talked for like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. She got off. Immediately texted my brother. I was like, "Okay, she's 5'7", medium build, blonde hair, big smile. Who is this person? Tell me." Because nothing, just fucking nothing. I didn't even barely.
Sarah, you've met her 8 times.
Yeah, basically. And it's like, give me fictional characters. I got you all day.
I'm looking up Luke Holiday right now, and that guy I think has 8 speaking words in the entire show.
He doesn't say a lot, but he's there a lot. Like, he's front and center a lot.
I'm so surprised you guys remembered him as a character. He had completely dumped out of my head. He is totally fake Bryce. It's funny, they even make fat jokes with him.
Yes,
like, how you can make fat jokes with him?
Yeah.
And not make fat jokes about Bryce. Yeah. What the hell are you talking about? Yeah. And he's actually better looking anyway.
So I'm not straight. Surprise. But I like, to me, like, I didn't see Jess as being like particularly unattractive, or like I wasn't.
She's not unattractive.
I'm not saying she's ugly. People are just horny for her. Like yeah. He's coming back. There you go. Okay, she's fine, but what?
She's fine, but she's not hot.
Right.
Well, and like that, it's the level for me.
Getting the hots for underage characters. Maybe they were trying to.
Well, I've never found that to be a problem. So
I was gonna make that point if everyone wasn't played by 24-year-olds.
Yeah. I would feel worse if they weren't older than me and I'm in my 30s.
Yeah, no, I totally checked. Well, I'm 31, so it definitely still feels weird. But the big problem is that it's not a problem. It's just it's not that she's unattractive. It's that people are horny for her, like she looks like Audrey Hepburn.
When you say people, you mean like the characters in the show, or like the
fan base? Yeah. No, I don't give a fuck about the fan base. No, I mean no, in the show, because like Diego, I think Diego is like just way out of her league.
Oh,
Diego
wow.
could do better.
I like
that guy. He's like a model. Have you guys seen pictures of him?
I just assume they were put together.
Now I feel like we should be in the cafeteria. Oh my God, Diego's like totally. He's like punching. She's punching.
Maybe the show's changed me now. I'm like, I gotta rewatch it. Like, oh my God.
He seems bland. He seems fine.
It just makes me think of casting. I'm just no, but she's not bland. She's a horrible bitch. Oh, yeah, like I was gonna make a whole supercut of her just being bitchy.
Oh, yeah.
She's so out of control bitchy. Like when you guys got the episode where they did the tour at the new school, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And she just cannot help but raise her hand to be a horrible bitch to people who don't have it coming. Like she loves fucking up people who don't have it coming.
In the dance episode, she's like, in the beginning of that episode, the conflict with her is that she hasn't been asked out to dance, and then she has this conversation with Annie where she's like, I'm the school body president. I shouldn't have to go to the dance alone. Like she's like super
entitled,
super entitled
to
like be asked out. And then she does get a date, and then she makes it to the dance, and then she's at the dance, and then like fucking like Alex or someone goes up to her and is like, how are you, not Alex, someone else, and she's like, oh my god, fuck off, I already have like, she like ditches Charlie for Diego. That's it. She goes, she gets with Charlie, and then Diego comes up and she's like, oh, fuck you, like, oh my god.
Well, you're right, and you said she, but you forget too
about this like not 10 minutes ago.
You also swept over something. You said she gets someone for a date. No, she strong arms Charlie into going on a date with her, because the other thing that's annoying is everyone's terrified of her.
Yeah.
For no reason. Yeah. Why is everyone so afraid of her? Like, because she's bitchy? Like, again, that's not a great character trait for our protagonist.
Yeah,
like,
weird.
I don't root for her.
Weird.
She's a horrible bully.
Very weird. I don't know what we're supposed to latch on to that.
Guys, she's a strong woman of color, and you're both racists. So
I think that's exactly what they're trying to sell. They're like, well, you know, you say bossy and bitchy. We say she's just strong. If she was a man being like, you know, that's what I think maybe they're trying for. But it just comes across so unlikable.
I think there's better ways to write. Like that's not really coming across.
Oh, not at all.
Well, and what I think the way you do it is she could have the exact same personality, but actually have some genuine oppression going on. And she constantly acts like a horrible fucking cunt to people over the minorest of inconveniences.
Yeah.
She's never been
principal,
oppressed.
right? She talks to the principal in a way that would fucking get you expelled. And everyone's always like, man, I hate that she said it, but god damn it, she tells it how it is. It's like, no, she doesn't. She needs to shut the fuck up. I could imagine my daughter, I don't have one, but if I had one, I could imagine her watching this show and then being like a horrible bitch to people because, well, like, it works for that character. Makes sense.
She's going to a school for rich white people.
Mm-hmm,
she's, you know, it's not like she has some privilege, to say the least. Although of course, I wouldn't claim to be an authority on the subject, but like, I think it would work better if she had a little bit more poise. I think her character needs poise for that to come off. Because if she had poise,
or that could have been the arc,
then or empathetic. If she had poise and had that same kind of quote unquote bossy streak to her, I think it would have come off more the way it was intended. But
almost all of the characters,
she's just trashy and like belligerent and not very
belligerent's a great word.
And it's not
she's always looking for a fight. She really is. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. She'll go like, hey, we're just showing you the new school. And it's like, hey, I did research and you guys have these problems. And what are you doing? Like, bitch, I got asked last second to come and do this fucking tour. I don't know. Like, what would you want from me? Like, you think I have any power? Go talk to the fucking dean, you know, go talk to the you know, superintendents or something like that. Like, you're over here harassing me in front of all these people that I'm trying to show about the school. Like, what are you gaining from shaming me over things I have no control over?
What is the script gaining from that? Like, is it trying to establish her as
self-righteousness?
But that's the thing, is that I want to know, are they trying to establish that she's kind of self-righteous and flawed, or are they trying to frame it as a good thing? You know,
I think they're framing it as a good thing, and I think the answer was for a lot of these characters was they should have shown these things we hate about them could have been arcs for them to overcome. And she should have learned, you know what? You attract more flies with, you know, honey than with vinegar. Yeah. And when you do need to step up and be kind of crazy, then that's, you know, I can do that. I have that strength and the power to do that.
Because you haven't been, you know, shouting
all the time.
If you have a lot of poise, then when you start getting loud, people listen. They're like, oh shit, this character is usually quiet. It's all of a sudden saying things. So it's more powerful. Totally. It works better anyway in that regard as well. But okay, she's supposed to be like 17, so she doesn't know all that shit, even though she's clearly like 28.
Sure.
Even though she has children.
But also, this is season 4. This is their 4th year of high school. They're all seniors and they're going to graduate. So this would have been a great way to be like, yes, exactly. She is 17. Let's start in the first season. Yeah. She's, I guess, theoretically 14. Jeez. You know, and I know it's kind of creepy, right? Yeah, especially with how sexual the show is. But it's like, okay, so they're all young. They're like 14. They don't know any better. But now that they're about to graduate, they've gone.
I think it's a couple months per season.
They graduate at the end of the 4th season, so unless season
but I don't
happens
think
in like
started
junior
season
year,
1 in grade 9.
That's a possibility then. Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah. I guess I don't know. I don't care enough.
We could
that's yeah. We all three of us could find out, but we're not going to.
There's definitely a timeline between the spring fling, the school shooting incident, and the beginning of season 3. Yeah.
3. Yeah. No, that's a great point. I think Scoot's onto something. If we started at like junior year, then you could have had Spring Fling be kind of like the end of that junior year, and then 3 and 4 could have technically both taken place in senior year. That's definitely a possibility.
I think it's more like that. I don't think they're supposed to be 4.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Especially because I think also they would have had a harder time. You know what? That may have even been a concession. I wonder how the book worked, because I doubt they would have gotten the go-ahead for a 14-year-old girl kills herself.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough sell. But
I mean, it's tough anyway.
It's good to see that it was in the hands of very capable and restrained writers.
Yeah. Well, and just like really respectful, and they took their time and really tried to, you know, really craft art.
Yeah.
You know, not just put out trash TV.
Very thoughtful.
And again, it's tough because like I'm the first guy who defends art and says like it shouldn't be in essence, you know, censored because you know, it's potentially dangerous, because that's the same argument for, and I got a lot of shit for hating on the show on my comment section, right. People being like, well, you got to keep the same energy when they talk about, you know, video games influence violence. I'm not saying that the show shouldn't be allowed to be made. I'm saying that you as an artist, these are things you should be thinking about when you write these things.
For sure.
You know, and if I made something and then I saw that in the following months there's a 28% spike in teen suicides, like I would have a very fucking hard time sleeping at night.
Yeah, like think about it. Like, yeah, I'm not saying censor it, because I'm very anti-censorship.
Right.
If you want to make Suicide is Awesome the musical, then great. But
well, plus like I listen to like horrible music. I mean, I listen to music with like not positive messaging. And so, yeah, it's not a matter of I think that these things need to be censored at all. And I'm not, you know, the show shouldn't exist or anything. It's just that it's frustrating to feel like these guys were so flip with this messaging that they were sending out. And they know that it's an audience that's supposed to be kids. We're over here watching it all ironically, which Scoot and I talked about how I really wish Netflix had like a, hey, I'm just kidding button. Stop recommending this shit to me all the time.
Before I watch this, so it doesn't recommend me spin-offs of 13 Reasons Why later.
Yeah. I've probably spent more time in Netflix in an episode or episodes of 13 Reasons Why than like most of my favorite shows, because I had to keep going back and cross-referencing stuff and finding clips to pull for or whatever. And so like my favorite shows like Peaky Blinders, but I only watched every episode like one time, you know? So now it's like all my recommendations
Netflix
are like, well, because you love 13
show.
Reasons Why.
Oh, you're a 14-year-old girl. We got you.
Uh-huh. Oh, dude, we got all these Disney Channel shows.
Like Riverdale.
Yeah, 100% right. So same thing, right? That's that early argument, Riverdale. It's like, let's do now. Okay, that's another one. Who the fuck is that for? It's Riverdale. It's Archie comics. Like 50-year-olds are supposed to be watching it. Like kids don't know what the fuck Archie comics is. They don't know who Jughead is. Like what the fuck is this for? It's so weird when that happens. Gem and the Holograms, the movie, right? Who is this fucking for? It's like it's anyone who
people saw that movie.
That's why though, because it's like you make this movie, you're like, hey, let's make Gem and the Holograms. That's an old franchise. People remember it. Yeah.
Sort of. It wasn't even that big. Though.
No, it wasn't. No, but like you have to be a child of the 80s to give a shit. And so when the new movie comes out and it's for kids, a 40-year-old person isn't going to go want to watch that fucking movie. And kids don't know who Gem and the Holograms are, so they don't give a fuck. Yeah. So it's a movie for nobody. It's so strange. This is like my whole argument with, are you guys familiar with the 20-year cycle? Or the 30-year cycle idea?
Not really.
Not specifically.
So what the idea is that basically people in their youth of one generation, when they about 20 or 30 years later are the creators for art in that next generation. So right now we're in this big 80s boom because people who were kids in the 80s are now in their 40s and 50s and are making all the media like J.J. Abrams. And it kind of started in the 70s, about the 50s with like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, because before the 50s, everything was pretty much like radio and like live shows and stuff like that. There wasn't as big of a media presence in like TV.
Right.
But in the 50s, television took over the world, and then everybody grew up. And then when they, you know, were in the 70s and the 80s and stuff, they were all going off of serials and stuff they saw in the 50s. So moving on, in theory, like in the next 10 years or so, it will not be the 80s anymore and everything's going to be the 90s. And we were starting to see that, right? Yeah. Like Captain Marvel was set in the 90s, and the mid 90s movie from Jonah Hill, you know, because he's our age. So one of my theories, though, is that we're going to start running out of those data points to contact, because in the 2000s is when everything switched over to like streaming platforms, and people, so like all three of us probably know a whole bunch of Tupac songs, whether you're a big Tupac fan or not.
Gael because there's only a Tupac.
Okay,
I'm more of a Biggie guy.
Fair enough. That's totally fair. But point being, like, let me put it this way. I know more Britney Spears songs than I know Lady Gaga songs, because by the time Lady Gaga came out, I didn't have to listen to Lady Gaga. But when Britney Spears was big, there was only a handful of radio stations, and you'd walk and walk. It was everywhere. You couldn't get away from it. Like, we had a limited...
so much to it. Yeah, it was so much less splintered.
So much less splintered. And television was the same way. Like, if anyone goes like, oops, did I do that? We all know we're talking about Steve Urkel, because we all grew up with only a couple of, like, shows to watch every evening. Yeah. But now we have all this whole generation of Zoomers who had so much access to streaming technology that's hard to make one point of reference that the entire generation knows, because they may just be like, hey, I skipped that. Yeah, I listen to my own music on Spotify, and I watch my own shows on Netflix, and I didn't catch those massive cultural zeitgeist. So I think that 20-year cycle thing is going to break down. It'll be hard to make something that every Zoomer, remembers fondly, because it just won't be.
I think that's a good thing, honestly.
I agree.
Like I can't wait for things to be less contrived.
I'm so sick of remake hell.
They could make TikTok the movie in 2042.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. I think what they may have to do is, but again, more people I think had to interact with Family Matters than did TikTok, because like most people like us think it's stupid, and so you just get to not. And so what will happen is it'll probably still be contrived, and we'll probably still have reboot hell, but it'll be around very narrow things. So it'll be like, I want to get all the emo kids, so I'm going to make some biopic about My Chemical Romance, but you're not going to catch everyone. You're just going to catch that niche who actually did care about that.
Yeah, it's got to be niche.
Mm-hmm. But that's still better, though. Still more variety.
Mm.
Yeah, interesting.
Because there's no Ghostbusters being made now. Like Inception, like it's hard to name a movie in the last 20 years that was as big as like a Ghostbusters was.
Yeah, besides
I'd say
besides Marvel stuff, yeah.
What'd you say?
Lord of the Rings.
Marvel stuff, and
he
and
said
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Right, and the Marvel stuff is tough because it's almost like, is that ever going to end? I mean, in theory, this next generation or next wave, could start to see a pretty big drop off, because it's kind of like, well, I spent the last 10 years getting to know this Captain America, and now I got to get used to Anthony Mackie Captain America. Like, I don't know if I care about that. I don't know if I care about Teresa, whatever faces is going to be playing. Oh no, she's not. I think they're going to do the female Thor with what's her face, Natalie Portman. I think they're doing that thing or whatever. But I just, man, I've been superheroed out for like literally the last 10 years.
I have literally avoided every single Marvel superhero film, except only one I've seen is the first Iron Man. That's literally the only I have literally not seen a single superhero film with Marvel in it.
Right.
Since
we saw one of the best ones. I would highly recommend Logan, which I think Sony just made on their own.
Okay.
That is the kind of movie that I think is extremely good on its own.
I lied. I did watch Venom.
No,
that was
no.
Hell yeah.
Who was defending Venom? I think it was Ralph or fucking Alex. One of those two. I was like, it's so epic.
Probably two, but I don't think he was defending it. I think Venom. He acknowledged that it was shit. He just thought it wasn't. It wasn't like a. Like he thought it was as bland and mediocre and shit as anything else. Like there's nothing particularly shit about it, I think was Ralph's argument, which is fair.
Yeah, that is fair. Well, that's why I think that, okay, so the other one I'd recommend, not Marvel, but DC, is Joker, if you haven't gotten around to seeing that one. And my thing with Joker and Shazam is I think that that's where DC should start putting their bets, because right now Marvel has the complete monopoly on 6 out of 10 just like fine interconnected universe movies. Like every one of those movies are like, they're fine, it was in focus, there was a story, it hit all the beats it's supposed to hit, and you walk out, you're like, I'm not angry.
$12 billion.
No, certainly. And so I think that for DC to try to compete, instead of trying to create the exact same fucking thing, I think that what they should do is go the opposite direction of the shared universe and be like, hey, we made Shazam and it's basically G-rated, and but it was like $66 million. It made back like $333 million or something. Like people liked it. And then we made Joker. It was a hard R. It's basically a Scorsese film, and that one is like one of the highest grossing movies ever. It's like, stay in this route of like, we're just going to be the ones where we have like individual stories that aren't interconnected, so we can kind of do anything. And if you want that, like all these movies feel exactly the same, then you got to go to Marvel.
I just want more high grossing hard R's.
Yeah, I do. That's why I was so stoked when Deadpool came out.
Yeah. I saw Shazam. It didn't do anything for me. Again, I think the reason a lot of people like Shazam is because a lot of people are so used to the Marvel formula that Shazam was a breath of fresh air to them. But being someone who literally doesn't watch superhero movies, I just found it bland. I was like, this is just
so. I actually don't mean that I personally like it, because it's not for me. I think that's the benefit. So, okay, to put it a different way, James Willems from Funhouse was talking about this a couple months ago, and I think he nailed it. He was like, we used to get two properties. You used to get a super hard R-rated RoboCop, and then you got this G-rated TV show for RoboCop. And obviously, the original movie was never intended for children to watch, but we used to split these properties. Now, what we've done is we've homogenized all these movies to where they want 8-year-olds to 36-year-olds to watch them. So all these movies are PG-13
and it's all PG-13,
now.
and it's all fine.
Yeah, exactly. At best, it's fine. So what happens is you end up with the RoboCop reboot was PG-13, fucking sucks. The Total Recall was PG-13. Like, no one remembers these movies, even if they saw them, because they're just super homogenized and like, yep, you hit the beats, whatever. There's nothing interesting. Yeah. So I would rather have a Shazam that I get to skip to get a Joker that I do want to watch, rather than both of those movies being PG-13s and both of them being like fine. You know, Iron Man. I don't think that's both of those movies are movies I can watch.
I don't think that's how the industry's gonna shape up or gear up. Like, these people, like Warner Brothers, like the people that's even like Sony, people who have the rights to DC properties, like they want to do what Marvel's doing. They want to go where the money is. And like, I don't.
Well, but that's the problem though. They tried and they failed really horribly.
They're gonna keep trying. Marvel tried and failed for decades.
That's true, but okay, so I guess
they perfected their mediocre formula.
Yeah.
The only reason I feel like it could be different is because they are so far behind at this point, and Joker did make it's like one of the highest grossing films ever made.
Made a lot, yeah.
And the Deadpool movies did well too.
Yes.
Which is Marvel, but still. So it could be, if I was them, it would be like, hey, this could be an opportunity for us to separate ourselves from Marvel. And if we can get a Joker even every couple of years, it'll be more than enough money to keep us, moving and keep us rocking. And the other thing to keep in mind too is with these franchises, because Star Wars, dude, I would fucking kill to get like an R-rated Star Wars, and not because I want it to be like super gory or anything. I just want I think Star Wars has outlived its story plotline potential, and it exists better as a world now. Yeah, it's almost like D&D, where it's just like a good world. And so I would love to see like a really think about like a Blade Runner 2049. Yep. You could have done that in a Star Wars universe. You could have had this great detective story, and it's just serious and dark, but we have Twi'leks and lightsabers and shit. And I think one thing they have to keep in mind is that the children who grew up watching Ewoks are now adults, and so it makes sense for these properties to age up with us.
Yeah.
So that could be just a good. So that's why I think that would be a good pitch on how to sell that. Like, hey, look, I know that they're making a whole bunch of money doing it how they're doing it, but if we gave that to them and then stopped trying to fight them where they're strong and fought them where they're weak, and we started offering the public something that they're not getting from Marvel, that could be the way to go. And I think they almost did it, because I think initially they thought, oh, we'll be the dark and gritty one because we have Batman. But then they got Zack fucking Snyder. And it's like, well, that was your problem. And then they learned the wrong lesson. When what do you call it? BVS did poorly. They were like, oh, the audience must not like dark and gritty. We let's go light and funny. And then they did Justice League. It's like, no, it wasn't that we don't like dark and gritty.
They don't like that either. Maybe
they don't like shit. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe some color correction would help with the film.
Well, it could be fine, because like Saving Private Ryan's all bleached out and stuff like that. I don't think a lot of that stuff was bad. It was that the movie fucking sucks. And what's really frustrating with BVS is that I think there's actually a lot of good stuff to mine from the movie. I think there's a substantially shorter movie that's a lot better, that doesn't have Doomsday in it at all. Yep. This was completely unnecessary. I made a whole video on just like all the things I do like. Like, I really loved how the initial main antagonist is the senator lady, and she's fighting Superman where he's it's I had her name, damn it, I don't know, I lost it, but whatever her name was. And she was cool because her whole shtick was that she's not fighting him where he's strong, where it's not a problem he can punch his way out of. It's a problem where he is being morally dubious and he's being immature. And she's like, we don't do things this way. You can't just be like some secret agent who goes out and does whatever he wants. Yeah. Like, we have to come together and actually have some unity here. And
I disagree that he couldn't punch his way out of it. He could have punched her.
Well, but that would have proven her point. That would have been the opposite.
True, but it would have
really leaned into it. Maybe. Oh. And so he finally actually does, like, she basically presents the challenge for him to humble himself, and he succeeds. That's an internal struggle that he actually gets to win, and he succeeds. He shows up to the court date to actually like face the music, and then the other, who is not just an antagonist but now the actual villain, is the one who blows that whole thing up. And then he has that moment of realizing too that like, should have been paying attention. I could have stopped this. And he has that really tender moment where he sits there afterward and he's just like shaking his head because he's disappointed in himself. It's like whoever wrote that, it's like they took a vacation and then other guys came in and were like, hey, but Doomsday, right? You know, like what if the city was exploding and there was a big monster?
I think DC just has better storylines to draw from. I think one of the advantages they had in the 90s and the 80s and the 90s is that, well, this is just my personal opinion, obviously, but I think they had better writers than Marvel did. And I think like a lot of the storylines, especially in like the Batman and the Superman stuff, was genuinely really good. I'm someone who grew up with, and like the Timverse, like the Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, like Teen Titans, like everything that Bruce Timm and I'm blanking on his name now, Don something, worked on, was just really mature stuff, even though it was made for kids. And the storylines were being not lifted, obviously, because they had the rights to it, but they were kind of being drawn directly from the comic books and from the graphic novels and the works, and even the whole Superman having to face the music with having to find diplomatic solutions, or his philosophy being at odds with the way diplomacy is conducted in the United States, and that being a metaphor for something larger. That's already been done. That's all been done in like the comics and the graphics novels. So it's not like a new concept, but they just have a better well of writing, of quality writing to draw from. The problem is they're trying to be Marvel. They want it to be spectacle. They need to have Doomsday. They need to have like the big fight so it's like that's kind of, I think they're running into a wall there because of those reasons. And
it feels like it felt like rewrites. It felt like a studio notes.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, we don't have this needs to end on a huge fight. And you just introduced Diana. Well, she's going to get her own movie later. No. We need her now. Like, let's have her fight, like let's not, like, they oversell things. Like there's a scene where it's her or Batman. I think it's her. And no, I don't. It doesn't matter. But so one of the two looks at the files that LexCorp had on all the different superheroes, and she sees the picture of herself and then the symbols for the other guys. Call it a day. That's it. We just need to see those symbols, But it's like, no, there has to be a scene where she clicks on each one and like gets to see a little snippet before we were ready. So a lot of that stuff was like way before they actually finalized the designs. It's like so much overwriting and so much like studio notes. But Gael, I think you nailed it. I think you're 100% right. I think that guys like Frank Miller and Alan Moore got involved and made some amazing like Batman comics or graphic novels. And so you're right, when they go to make these movies now, those are things that they get to tap into, like The Killing Joke and fucking Dark Knight Returns. I mean, BVS borrowed a lot from Dark Knight Returns.
There's been some good stuff.
Death of the Family's recent. That one's really good. Yeah.
Like it's because I think also like people say the Joker came out of nowhere. The Joker film, the Joker didn't come out of nowhere. Like these ideas have been tinkered with and tampered with and experimented on. There's been so many films about the Joker that are
his reminds me of the
kind of character study type Jokers. Like this isn't the first one. It's just the first one that's been done in live action with a really good actor. And of course, like it stuck to its roots because of the lower budget. Obviously, less studio. When you have a lower budget, the studio, doesn't care as much. Like if the film only costs you like whatever $30 million, I don't know how much it cost. Like just pennies for on the dollar for.
But it wasn't like $150 million movie or something.
So the studio's like, all right,
it was Aquaman.
Right. So and then they're like, all right, they have more freedom. They get to stay true to the source. Well, to the source to the. Because it's not really a source material type thing. The writing was original for that, but the spirit of it, the source
of what themes, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What they were kind of going for in those early comics. Well, yeah, you can stick to that.
I think like have good Killing Joke reminds me of him a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially like the Arthur Fleck background and all
as well. That. Killing Joke's been redone in a lot of different media.
Well, and at least brought up like even the Heath Ledger has direct references to the multiple story background and stuff like that. Something you pulled directly from that one. I would love to see just a straight up version of the Arkham Asylum graphic novel, the one that does like kind of the Dante's Inferno, like levels of hell kind of thing.
But
dude, I will send it to you guys. It's fucking amazing. And yeah, it's like Batman has to break into Arkham Asylum because the Joker like broke out and took over, and he ends up falling from a distance, and then he has to work his way up, and it's like Dante's Inferno. Right. It's like the layers of like hell. Okay. And so he has this like kind of like he's kind of going insane being around all the madness himself. But the thing is like hard R-rated, and not even necessarily just because it's brutal. It's just like it would give any kid like horrible nightmare. That's the thing. It was written for adults to consume, and so the movie Logan was made for adults to consume. Joker was made for adults to consume, and so that's what what kind of sucks when you go and you watch this Marvel movie with like your 8-year-old nephew and you're like, okay, like this was made for both of us. So what happens is you kind of half serve both of us. Yeah. Sometimes, well, okay, the fucking prequels, right? It's like you'll have Jar Jar Binks, but you'll also have these long conversations about trade embargoes.
I love it.
So it's like you have half of it is like,
and then you murder a bunch of kids at the end.
Younglings. We don't kill kids in this universe. Sorry, that would be gauche.
Très gauche.
So it's crazy because it's very you get the kids are fucking waiting for Jar Jar to come back because they're so bored about trade embargoes, and then like I'm having to fucking sit here and muster up the courage not to fucking leave the theater because Jar Jar's on screen. And so when you try to service both at the same time, it's so difficult to hit that notch. And sometimes, I mean, because I think that first Iron Man movie kind of works for that. It's like it's I was like, yeah, it's fun.
I thought it was. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed that.
So like it can happen, and Guardians of the Galaxy is probably even a better example.
That's the one good one that I haven't. I mean, obviously haven't seen any of them, but like that's the one people tell me to see. They're like, go watch that one.
Yeah,
I'm like, all right.
That might be the only one I like.
Right. I would only take it as far as to say, don't go out of your way not to see it. I would not tell you that your life will be any better.
No. It's not a. See.
All right, one more time.
No, yeah, it's like Guardians is not a must see. I think it's maybe the best MCU movie. I don't know. It's the only one I walked out of. It's the only one I walked out of going, oh, that's pretty good.
How does it stack up against Aquaman?
It's not as epic.
Well, Aquaman is epic, so it's really apples to oranges there.
The only.
See, that's the thing is that I will watch something like if you tell me that all the Marvel movies are like Aquaman, I will watch them.
They're not.
But I feel like a lot of them, from what I've seen and heard, take themselves very seriously.
They're
and
not
really
as enjoyably
They respect
stupid.
their characters, which Aquaman clearly doesn't.
Correct.
If you're gonna produce garbage, just give it to me. It's trash, but it's my trash. I will consume it.
You know what? So that's kind of where I think this brings us back to most of our feelings probably about 13 Reasons Why. Where we're just kind of like, this is like horrible trash TV, so we can kind of watch it like we're watching, Honey Boo Boo or something crazy, 90 Day Fiance or something. But that's what I was saying, because you said it's made for you. I feel like it's half made for me because it's almost like not dumb enough. It's because it's not a Neil Breen flick. So it's kind of like, it's bad, but it's kind of just bad in the annoying way.
It's not
more
fully
times
committing to being insane.
Yeah. And so when they get those glimpses, those are the things we all talk about.
Yeah, it's a really difficult balance.
If someone only listened to us talk about it, they wouldn't know about all the really fucking boring, slogging parts that are just the regular bad.
Yeah.
And so you get these little nuggets here and there, but a lot of it is like, oh my God, don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep. Like, I don't care about Justin and his fucking drug addiction that comes and goes.
Yeah.
Really need conflict.
Completely forgot about Justin this entire
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's so many goddamn characters. And like I said, they drop characters that seemed like they would have been around forever.
I just realized you could completely remove his character from the story and it wouldn't change
it doesn't matter. The one character drop from season 3 to 4 we were very upset about is the leader of the rape club.
Oh yeah,
dude,
Casey or something. Non-binary, we've been calling her.
She's gone.
Them.
Yeah, her
not
her
the
name
leader.
was
She's like the enforcer.
What was it?
So it's actually funny. I brought her up on the YMS subreddit or whatever, and someone was talking about how she has typecasted herself. She is always that character. And they pointed out a whole bunch of different shows that she's in.
Is that in shows and in real life? That's her.
Which I was like, that's kind of hilarious because Michelle Rodriguez was talking about that. The reason she always plays like the tough chick, whatever, is because she just turned down every role that made her like some kind of damsel or made her, whatever. So the only ones left ended up being the kind of roles that she gets all the time. And then she just got horribly typecasted. And she's like, oh, well, it's my fault. And I think this girl has been purposely trying to typecast herself as well.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's rough. I feel like the one thing we've been kind of circling around is the monetary aspect of it. Like these are not incompetent people who are writing and directing and filming. Some of them are, but
some have to be.
Some have to be. You can't create something this unique without a dose of madness. But
I honestly think the writing's the only thing that's incompetent because it's in focus. They're not reinventing the wheel or anything like that, but it's
I'd say most of it. Now that I think about it, I think it's poorly acted. It's poorly shot. It's
okay. That's the second
shot.
One. It's okay. See, it's not. That's the thing. It's not. It's not. Here, it's like blue collar. It's like jobbers. Sure.
Yeah.
It's like people showed up and said, you know what, motherfucker, I pointed the camera at the guy when he was talking. I turned it on. It's in focus. Fucking sue me. I'm going home.
Minimum requirements of my job.
So absolutely, it's a job.
Fine, right? Like the thing is like it's difficult to criticize. Like that's what I like about shows like these. It's how do you approach criticizing them, right? Because you could criticize the writing, but then someone else might like the writing. And then if you're the creator, you can this is kind of Neil Breen philosophy. But if you're the creator, you can argue that you're making the show for the people who like it. And then you can go to the studio and ask for more money based on that argument and show them how much money you're making, and then more shows get made that way, right? So it's like, and the same goes for like the Marvel discussion we've been having, the DC, what direction should they go with? It's all just where's the money going, and then you just follow the money, and it doesn't matter. You don't need people you don't need like Scorsese directing and Deakins behind the camera. You just need like people who know how to fucking hold a camera and use it. People know how to fucking light a scene, and people who are mediocre enough at acting that it's not like Neil Breen. It's you got someone who's at least trying, right? And
it's kind of an idea
and
of
a mediocre
even
script,
though
and you get a mediocre show. The only reason it's funny is because it's trying to tackle really insane topics with no delicacy at all. It's beautiful.
Well, you're right, because like we're not making this episode about Laguna Beach or Riverdale, and that's a fair point.
And if they had done that, nothing to say, right? If they had gone that absurd. Maybe we're just giving them a hint. Like maybe if you're a showrunner in Hollywood and you're listening to this, which is unlikely,
go absurd.
But then you can listen to that and go like, wait, that's what I should do. I should go absurd. I should do something insane.
Crazy.
I should take just a boring ass normal show and just insert something really absurd into it, and people will talk about it, and they will. Yeah. Right. So it's like, what does that say about us as viewers? Are we kind of idiots? So I don't know. It's a weird position to be.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely like, I'm in my 30s and I'm talking about the show that's definitely made for children. Yeah. Well, but I think so you were talking about like what's the harm in it, and I guess the if you were gonna get into it, because I like to think I'm not this
obviously.
That other than that, that's the acceptable.
But I mean, they're Americans,
no,
so it's like I don't know if there's a lot of harm.
There's so many of us. No, I think. I like to think I'm not this pretentious, but I could see myself having the feeling that like art should be art though. And so there's something lost when it gets treated like McDonald's, hamburgers of just like, the Holy Mountain, right? With the Art Factory, it's that feeling of just like, here's your, well, in the Art Factory is probably a reference to 1984 anyway, where there was, prole-feed. Part of prole-feed was art, and the machines would make the music, and the people were so dumb basically that they just weren't paying attention to even realize that. So it was the same Katy Perry bullshit over and over and over and over again. And that's what we're getting with these shows. And having said that, though, even though all three of us probably, enjoy a really good steak and a good expensive meal, we're not like angry that McDonald's exist. And if you don't want to go eat McDonald's, fair enough. Well, but hey, fair enough. Right? We all watch 13 Reasons Why.
We're not talking about art, though. And like, in fact, we're not even talking about art when we're talking about Marvel movies. We're not even talking about art when we're talking about Joker. And like, she's like, that's like Joker, like Todd Phillips wasn't trying to make art. He was just trying to be edgy, right? Like to me, like I don't know. I think we're all,
I don't know. Have you seen that movie?
People, but we probably have different definitions of art. And I think that is an interesting topic in and of itself.
I think I have a loose definition of art. If it's not selling real estate, it's like, to me, like cinema, paintings, like I don't see Bob Rossian paintings as not art just because he was trying to make something that's made to sell.
And we could agree on that probably. But with 13 Reasons Why, for example, from my perspective, either it's art because it's a genre, it's someone's trying to make, because it's a creation, someone's trying to make something, and as art it can do whatever it wants, even though if it's after money, or it's not art, but then neither is like unless it's strictly an art movie made specifically for the purpose to express something and get a reaction, and no other purpose really, like
not just as a money making device.
Then I mean, what are we talking about really, right? And
well, I think where you and I disagree is that I basically have it as the point of view of that it is art and it's shitty art, but that's okay to have shitty art.
Okay. I don't mind that.
And so it's kind of like, there's food and there's really good, fancy, expensive food, but there's also McDonald's food, and that's fine. Like, even though I prefer, and I wish everybody tried to, like, everyone was like, Jiro dreams of sushi or whatever, and everyone was like, oh my God, this is like my soul I'm putting into this meal and it's going to be the best thing ever. It'd be dope if everything was like that. But, we almost kind of have a need for the demand is so high.
Yeah, we can't afford to have everything be art in a sense. I don't know.
If we had to,
you're an aesthetics major. What's your take?
Yeah, what's up, man? Well, what up, college boy?
Aesthetics major. No, I agree with the. Yeah, it would be cool.
Well, there you go again. You're gonna have to repeat everything you said.
Yeah,
you said it would be cool if.
Yeah, no, like you said, it would be cool if everything was, super, like everything was a passion project and everything had all this love and care put into it, but it's not the way it works, and it's not the way it's gonna work. So you have to deal with the McDonald's and 13 Reasons Whys of the world.
Well, and as long as money's involved,
exactly.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, and on the record, I like both part of it. For the same reason.
Sure, yeah.
Right. I guess
I have to go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I'll let you guys get out of here. You got stuff going on. But this was a blast.
Yeah, if you guys want to continue, you can. But I just gotta get. Unfortunately.
No, we can do some stuff. I'm actually writing a script right now, so nice. I'm about to head on over and do that. This timing worked out perfect because the place I'm going to go, Hookah Bar, is open now. So
fancy.
And maybe catch some coronavirus.
Nice.
And yeah, I would absolutely love to get back into this when you guys finish up. Well, and we can do it in between if you want to. But if the next time we do it is after you're done with the whole thing, I can't wait to hear you guys' opinions on that because that shit was insane.
Yeah, no, it would be fun. This was fun.
Awesome. I had a really good time. It was great talking to you guys. So cool, man. All right. Well, hey, you guys have a great night and you stay safe, okay?
Thanks. You too.
All right. Sorry to hit and run on you, but I'll catch you later.
Oh, no, you're just fine. No, this is the agreed upon time, so this works perfect. All right. I'll catch you guys later.
See you guys later.
Bye.